From the headquarters of the American Radio Relay League in Newington, Connecticut, this is ARRL Audio News for Friday, June 9th, 2017. This program is produced by the ARRL, the National Association for Amateur Radio, and features news highlights compiled from the ARRL letter, found on the web at arrl.org. I'm Sean Kutzko, KX9X.
And I'm your co-host, Carla Pereira.
In this week's report, hamvention improvements are already in the works for 2018.
Canada's C3 sesquicentennial voyage may be tracked via a whisper beacon.
And a centenarian ARRL member claims the oldest active amateur radio crown.
Those stories and others, plus this week's satellite update, all coming up now.
Hi, I'm ARRL member Ron Malinowski, Whiskey X-Ray 4 Golf Papa Sierra of Georgetown, Kentucky, and you're listening to ARRL Audio News.
Even before Hamvention 2017 had wound down at its new Xenia, Ohio location, plans were on the drawing board to enhance next year's show. Hamvention 2017 went reasonably well, spokesperson Mike Coulter, W8CI, allowed, but he acknowledged that there were still a lot of things to work on for 2018. Coulter, who lives in Xenia, made the remarks in a video interview with DX Engineering's Tim Duffy, K3LR, in the wake of the May 19th through 21st show, which is sponsored by the Dayton Amateur Radio Association. Coulter told Duffy that the staff of the Greene County Fairgrounds and Expo Center on its own initiative met with him, Hamvention General Chair Ron Kramer, KD8ENJ, and others to say they were already formulating plans for improvements. The food and forum venues at the new location got high marks, Coulter told Duffy, but the flea market suffered badly from the effects of heavy rainfall. It rained hard and it rained a lot, Coulter recounted, adding that the flea market area was not as well drained as organizers had expected. What exactly we're going to do at this point, I don't know, he conceded. We felt bad about that. The exhibitor tents were another issue, with crowded quarters, wind-blown rain getting into booth spaces, and a lack of lighting. Coulter told Duffy that the Dayton Amateur Radio Association didn't get the tents it wanted, and that more and better tents are high on the list for next year. They have also asked the Greene County Commission to purchase another building for the site, and the commission will be installing air handlers in buildings for 2018. On-site parking improvements also are in the works after a massive traffic jam on opening day. We know that we are stewards of a very important event for amateur radio, Coulter told Duffy. Hamvention is not just Dara's show, and exhibitors and organizers alike are buying into the concept of our Hamvention and contributing to an effort to improve the event. Coulter called Hamvention a pillar that helps to keep amateur radio alive and growing and functioning at a much higher level than anywhere else.
An amateur radio whisper beacon has been installed and activated on board the Canada C3 vessel. The ship departed Toronto, Ontario on June 1st on a 150-day expedition to Victoria, British Columbia via the Northwest Passage as part of the Canadian sesquicentennial celebration. Sponsors are calling it an epic journey to celebrate Canada and connect Canadians. According to Radio Amateurs of Canada, Canada C3 organizers permitted a group of enthusiasts under the leadership of Barry Crampton, VE3 BSV, to install the whisper beacon on the C3 vessel. This provides a unique opportunity to track the vessel on its 150-day sailing voyage around the Canadian coast, the longest coastline in the world, an RAC bulletin said. The whisper beacon identifies as CG3EXP. A live tracking link is available at www.qrplabs.com. Stopping at a different location every day, Canada C3 will visit 50 coastal communities, 36 Indigenous communities, 13 national parks, and 20 migratory bird sanctuaries. The Whisper Project is part of the science experiments and research to be carried out during the voyage. Many of the locations to be visited by Canada C3 lie in areas where radio communication is difficult, RAC said. Visit the Radio Amateurs of Canada website for more information.
The FCC has again used a consent decree to resolve an enforcement matter. The FCC Enforcement Bureau recently concluded a radio interference investigation with a negotiated settlement and a $90,000 civil penalty. The case against AFX Incorporated involved the marketing of unauthorized RF devices that interfered with AM/FM radio reception. After the company's NLL series LED lighting fixtures were reported to be causing interference interference to broadcast radio reception last year, the Enforcement Bureau's Spectrum Enforcement Division issued a letter of inquiry to AFX directing it to submit a sworn written response regarding its marketing and sale of the fixtures considered unintentional radiators under FCC rules. According to the FCC, evidence revealed that the suspect lighting fixtures had not been tested and authorized under FCC rules prior to marketing, and that AFX continued to market them during an approximately 5-month period after the receipt of the letter of inquiry.
Online, via podcast, and on repeaters around the world, you're listening to ARRL Audio News.
In this week's satellite news, several satellite grid expeditions will be taking place over the next few weeks. Patrick, WD9EWK, will operate in northern Arizona from Grand Canyon National Park in DM46 after the Prescott, Arizona Hamfest on June 10th. Gabe, NJ7H, Mac, AE5PH, and others will be doing satellite demos from EM12 at HamCom in Dallas this weekend using the AMSAT call W3ZM/5 on all voice and possibly packet sats. Mike, AI6GS, will be traveling along the California coast from DM14 to CM89 this weekend. Mike doesn't have a specific pass schedule, so check his AI6GS Twitter feed for updates. And finally, Dave, KG5CCI, will be operating in Belize in EK67 as B31CI from June 20th through 27th. He'll focus on SO50, FO29, and AO85. Operation will be holiday style, so don't expect him to be on for more than a handful of passes a day.
Jordan's first CubeSat, JY1Sat, will be launched next February, according to a news report. The spacecraft's name recalls the famous amateur radio call sign of Jordan's late King Hussein. JY1Sat will carry a FunCube SSB CW amateur radio inverting transponder and a slow-scan digital video system to transmit stored images. The Jordan Times recently reported that a team of 16 university students has been constructing the one-unit CubeSat, supervised by a group of experts and academics through weekly meetings at the Royal Jordanian Radio Amateurs Society. JY1Sat applied to the IARU on May 15th to coordinate a telemetry downlink on 145.840 MHz and transponder downlink passband of 145.855 to 145.875 MHz with an inverting uplink passband of 435.100 to 435.120 MHz. A SpaceX flight will carry JY1Sat into orbit from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California.
The FCC and OSHA have announced the release of a free publication, Communications Tower Best Practices Guide. While aimed more at those who tend commercial communication towers, the guide offers information applicable to the amateur radio community and contractors working on amateur radio antenna support structures. The FCC said the guide was a result of 2 tower safety workshops. Recognizing the risks that tower employees face, OSHA and the FCC held a workshop on a communication tower employee safety on October 14th, 2014, the new guide explains. During this workshop, industry stakeholders, along with employee safety advocates and the families of communication tower employees who had been killed on the job, gathered to discuss issues affecting the safety of communication tower employees. Among other points, the guide emphasizes that all tower workers need to have and use proper safety equipment at all times, and that no work should be done if proper safety equipment is unavailable or if the safety equipment available is not functioning properly. The guide also notes an increasing use of drones for tower inspection. This technology has the potential to reduce unnecessary climbing and can avoid putting tower workers at risk, the guide points out.
The mystery of sporadic E is the topic of the June 8th episode of the ARRL The Doctor Is In podcast. Sponsored by DX Engineering, ARRL The Doctor Is In is an informative discussion of all things technical. Listen on your computer, tablet, or smartphone, whenever and wherever you like. Every 2 weeks, your host, QST Editor-in-Chief Steve Ford, WB8IMY, and the doctor himself, Joel Hallis, W1ZR, will discuss a broad range of technical topics. You can also email your questions to doctor@arrl.org, and the doctor may answer them in a future podcast. You can enjoy ARRL The Doctor Is In on Apple iTunes or by using your iPhone or iPad podcast app. You can also listen online at Blueberry or at Stitcher and through the free Stitcher app for iOS, Kindle, or Android devices.
Hi, I'm ARRL member Dave Bruce, Whiskey 4 Delta Tango Romeo from Duluth, Georgia, and you're listening to the ARRL Audio News.
Blair Harth, KD2 EPA of Oceanport, New Jersey, has joined the select group of individuals who have received gold certification in the Radio Astronomy Observation Program of the International Astronomical League for making at least 10 galactic observations. A member of the Garden State Amateur Radio Association and the Society of Amateur Radio Astronomers, Harth was the recipient of the ARRL Hudson Division Technical Achievement Award in 2015 for his work in radio astronomy and RFI. He will take part in data gathering during the August solar eclipse. Harth will deliver a presentation, How to Use Ham Radio Gear to Do Radio Astronomy, at the International Astronomical League's 2018 International Meeting.
And finally, a 105-year-old ARRL member, Cliff Khart, W4KKP of White Rock, South Carolina, is claiming the title of world's oldest operating ham. No official record of such milestones exists, but ARRL is not aware of any radio amateurs senior to Khart, and he is now quite likely the oldest active ham, at least in the U.S. Born in 1911, Khart was first licensed in 1937 as W2LFE in New Jersey. He then was W9GNQ before becoming W4KKP. Khart's interest in amateur radio began in the early 1920s when he built a crystal radio. After modifying the inductor, he began hearing hams on AM. Khart is active on 80 meters as well as other bands.
That concludes ARRL Audio News for this week. Our thanks to all contributors to this week's report. ARRL Audio News is produced by the American Radio Relay League, the National Association for Amateur Radio. For more information on amateur radio or the ARRL, visit us on the web at arrl.org. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by searching for ARRL. If you have a question or comment about ARRL Audio News, email us at audionews@arrl.org. This program is copyright 2017 ARRL, all rights reserved. Until next week, I'm Carla Pereira.
And I'm Sean Kutzko, KX9X 73, and thanks for listening.